Hi, you're watching Reddit Confessions. The coffee cup was still warm when she walked out the door. Not slammed, not kicked open, just opened and closed, like it was any other morning. That stupid chipped mug I used to microwave for her, world's okayest wife, sat untouched on the table. Steam still curling from the top. She left it there like a fingerprint, like a signature on a goodbye note she didn't bother to write. There was no suitcase, just a leather tote slung over her shoulder, the same one I bought her for our anniversary last year. I had joked it was too expensive. She had smiled, kissed my cheek, and said, "Then don't mess it up." I didn't get the joke back then. She didn't say goodbye. What she said was this: "I'm done with this marriage." And then she just waited, like it was my turn in some game I never agreed to play. So I looked at her, not like a man scorned, not like a husband begging, but like someone whose mind just left his body. I heard myself say, "Then so am I. I'm free." And she nodded, like we were finalizing a dinner reservation. That was the last I saw of her, until a month later, when she showed up at my front door with eyes full of panic. She didn't knock. She didn't call first. She just stood there, staring past me like she needed to see something. She came to find out who had taken her place. But we're not there yet. Not even close. Because before her regret, before her twisted visit, there were 30 brutal days of unraveling. Days when I found things she never meant me to find. Messages, keys, receipts, a voicemail from someone named Calder, who names their kid Calder. You want to know how a man falls apart and then somehow doesn't? Stay tuned. This story isn't about revenge. It's about what's left behind when someone walks out and what you do with it. The first morning without her felt like someone had knocked all the air out of the house. It was silent, not peaceful silence, but that awful kind of hush after a fire. Even Linus, our overweight tabby who usually howled until he got fed, just sat by the door, staring. I poured 1 cup of coffee. Only one. The second mug, the one she always used, still sat by the sink with a dried ring of yesterday's cream clinging to the bottom. I didn't touch it. It felt like disturbing a crime scene. I didn't cry. I just wandered, from room to room, touching things I suddenly couldn't name the purpose of. Her scarf hanging on the back of the dining chair. That book she never finished on the nightstand. The faint trace of her vanilla lotion on our bed pillows. It was like she had evaporated, but her molecules didn't get the memo. I should have felt freedom, right? I said I was free. I even texted that to my friend Owen. She's gone. I'm free. He sent back a gif of a guy celebrating. I laughed, but not because it was funny. I laughed because the walls were so damn quiet. I needed something to bounce the sound off of. By day 4, I found her spare keys on top of the fridge. She always hid them there in case we locked ourselves out, which only ever happened once, and she blamed me, of course. Holding those keys felt like holding a piece of her spine. I should have thrown them out. Instead, I put them in the junk drawer, with the old batteries and expired coupons. Like she was just another thing I didn't know where to put yet. And then came the name, Calder. It started with a notification on our old shared laptop. She'd forgotten to log out of some cloud app, and I wasn't even snooping. I swear. I was trying to find the grocery list doc we used to share. And then it popped up, "Dinner tomorrow? I miss you already." The sender? Calder. A name I didn't recognize. A name that didn't sound like it belonged in our world. She had never mentioned a Calder. I didn't open the message right away. I just stared at it like it might disappear if I blinked hard enough. But it stayed, mocking me. When I finally clicked into it, I saw everything. The dinners I never knew about. The hotel receipts saved as PDFs. A folder titled C, with photos of them smiling together in places she told me she hated. Wine bars. Rooftop lounges. A lake cabin. She told me she hated lakes. Said they gave her anxiety. Turns out, I gave her anxiety. The betrayal wasn't just the cheating. It was how well she lied. How she built this second life with such calm precision, while I was busy trying to fix a leaky sink and planning our 10-year vow renewal trip. While I was buying wood for her shelves, she was in a cabin with Calder. I was memorizing her coffee order. He was memorizing her skin. But I didn't confront her. Not then. I just sat on the couch that night, hugging her scarf, feeling like the biggest idiot on the eastern seaboard. And that's when it hit me. She didn't walk out because she was brave. She walked out because she already had somewhere soft to land. That changed everything. Because if she was going to land soft, I was going to learn how to stand. And just when I thought I was starting to, she came back, unannounced, uninvited, unprepared. But not yet. Not just yet. The day she returned? That deserves its own chapter. Because what she saw behind my front door wasn't what she expected, and it wasn't who she remembered. I didn't expect the knock. It was a Tuesday, late afternoon, with rain tapping on the windows and an unfinished sandwich on my plate. I was halfway through deleting old photos from my phone, not just of her, but of us, when I heard it. 3 dull knocks. No doorbell. No text before. Just the kind of knock that feels heavy, like the person behind it carries a weight they hadn't prepared for. I opened the door without checking who it was. Maybe I wanted to be surprised. Maybe I secretly hoped it was her, standing there with puffy eyes and apologies. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for what I saw. Marla, soaked from the rain, hair clinging to her face. No umbrella, no jacket, just her and that old leather tote bag. The same one she'd slung over her shoulder when she walked out a month ago. The irony? She was wearing the exact same coat too. It felt like déjà vu. Only this time she didn't look smug. She looked stunned. But not at me. She looked past me. Her eyes darted behind my shoulder, scanning the living room. Then the hallway. And then, the stairs. She looked like someone who'd just walked into a house she thought was abandoned, only to realize someone else had moved in. Her lips parted, like she wanted to ask something, but no words came. I didn't move. I didn't speak. She broke the silence first. Is someone here? I crossed my arms. You don't live here anymore, remember? That hit her. Not hard. Not like a punch. More like a cold gust through a cracked window. Her hand gripped the strap of her bag tighter. I needed to pick up some things. You left everything. I assumed it was intentional. She nodded slowly, eyes flicking to the stairs again. I could see her mind racing, but not because she wanted her stuff. No, she wanted to know. If I had moved on. If someone had taken her place. She couldn't ask it outright, but it clung to her face like fog. And that's when she appeared. From the hallway, barefoot and holding a mug, came a woman. No makeup, sweater draped off one shoulder. Her hair up in the messiest bun imaginable. She looked effortlessly comfortable, like the home already knew her. Marla's eyes locked onto her instantly. Her face changed, not angry, not jealous, but panicked. The woman looked at Marla, then at me. You okay? I nodded. Yeah, all good. She smiled gently at Marla. I'm Zoe. You must be Marla. There it was, the moment that cracked her. Not the sight of another woman, but the sound of her name spoken kindly by someone new. Marla didn't speak. She looked down at the welcome mat, the one that now said begin again. A gift from Zoe 2 weeks ago. She stared at it for a long second like it personally betrayed her. Then she swallowed hard and asked, how long? Long enough, I said. But not before you left. She stepped back. Just once. Then again. Her eyes watered, not with grief, but disbelief. I think she truly thought I'd crumble without her. That I'd sit in the ruins and wait. But here I was, standing, with someone who actually wanted to stay. She left without another word. This time for real. No leather tote. No smug look. Just a ghost in the rain, vanishing down the street. But I wasn't done. Not even close. Because after she left, I found something in the basement that changed everything I thought I knew about her exit and about Calder. I wasn't looking for secrets when I went into the basement that night. I was actually looking for the toolbox. One of the legs on the coffee table had come loose, and Zoe had been balancing her tea on a stack of old coasters like some architectural experiment. But as I moved aside the old hamper that had become our unofficial miscellaneous junk bucket, I heard something shift beneath it, a hollow thud, followed by the rustling of cardboard. I bent down, lifted the hamper, and there it was, a box I didn't recognize. It was taped shut, but lazily. The kind of job you do when you think no one's ever going to look. Written across the top in thick black marker was one word, don't. Just that. No name. No date. No label. I stood there for a full minute just staring at it, hands cold, chest tight. I told myself to leave it. It wasn't mine anymore. But if she truly meant to take it, why was it still here, buried under a hamper, forgotten? I peeled the tape slowly, almost like I was afraid of what I might find. Inside were documents, envelopes, receipts, photos, all jumbled together like someone had swept the top of a desk into a box mid-argument. And then, I saw the phone. Her old phone. The one she claimed had fallen in the sink 6 months before she left. I remembered offering to try and dry it out, and she snapped. No, just let it go. I already backed everything up. She hadn't. At least, not if it was still here. I turned it on, or tried to. Dead. No charger in sight. But after 20 frantic minutes of rummaging through drawers and cables and swearing under my breath, I found one that fit. The phone buzzed. The logo appeared. And just like that, her lies came back to life. It wasn't the text that shocked me. I'd already seen the Calder messages on her cloud account. It was the voice memos. Dozens of them. Some just a few seconds long, some stretching 5, 10 minutes. I listened to the first one, thinking it would be a grocery list or a to-do reminder. But no. Note to self. Her voice began, calm and cold. Everett's getting suspicious. I think he saw the hotel charge on the card. I told him it was a work conference. I think he bought it. He always buys it. My ears rang. I paused the recording, staring at the screen like it might melt in my hands. I played the next one. I don't know how to tell him. Part of me doesn't even feel guilty. I haven't felt married in over a year. Calder says I need to stop feeling responsible for Everett's sadness. He says I'm emotionally trapped. The third memo was recorded 2 days before she left. Tomorrow I'll tell him. It's done. Calder's right. I've been a coward. Everett won't fight. He never does. He'll just let go. He always lets go. Let go. That's what she thought of me. Not kind. Not loyal. Just passive. A man too quiet to be worth staying for. A placeholder she could walk away from without resistance. I played the final memo. It was a single sentence. Whispers. Her voice shaking. I hope he doesn't hate me. I closed the app and stared at the wall. Not because I was angry, but because I wasn't. Not anymore. The pain was still there, sure, but hearing her voice admit everything made something inside me settle. Like the last piece of a cruel puzzle had finally snapped into place. But the next morning, everything shifted again. Because Zoe found something else in that box. Something I had missed. Something with Calder's name on it, and a date that made my stomach drop. The envelope was plain. No markings, no stamp, no address. Just sealed, thick, and buried beneath the tangle of receipts and old birthday cards inside that cursed box. I must have missed it when I dug through everything the night before, but Zoe didn't. She found it the next morning, resting awkwardly beneath a stack of restaurant napkins Marla had scribbled song lyrics and passive-aggressive reminders on. Buy your own almond milk was one of them. Zoe handed the envelope to me while I was sipping coffee, her expression curious but cautious. You didn't see this? She asked. I shook my head, already sensing that whatever was inside wasn't going to help me breathe easier. I opened it slowly, and the first thing I saw was an itinerary. A printed one. Airline name, reservation number, outbound and return flights. The departure date was 3 weeks before Marla left me. 3 weeks. A round trip from Albany to Denver. Booked under the name Marla Emerson. And next to hers, a second passenger, Calder R. Price. My chest went tight. Not because of the trip, I already knew she had been with him, but because of the date. That trip happened during the same weekend she told me she was flying to visit her sister in Boston, the one who had just had surgery. She made me buy the flowers. She cried on the phone when I asked how the recovery was going. She described hospital smells. She even said, "Hold on, the nurse is coming," before muting me. I reread the itinerary 3 times before noticing the second paper in the envelope. A printed page of a rental agreement, a cabin, remote, high-end, fully paid in advance. The cabin had a name, Maple Hollow Retreat. The dates matched the flights. They'd planned it all in advance. It wasn't spontaneous. It wasn't a moment of weakness. It was a vacation, a honeymoon. I stood up so fast my chair scraped the floor behind me. Zoe was still sitting on the couch, watching my reaction. I couldn't say a word. I just handed her the papers. She read them in silence, her lips pressing into a thin, unreadable line. When she finally looked up, she said softly, "You didn't deserve that. None of it." But it wasn't even about what I deserved anymore. It was about what I allowed. I had ignored every red flag. I had believed every excuse. I had accepted her half-love as if it were real, because I was too afraid of being alone. And the worst part? That weekend, the one she spent in a secluded cabin with Calder, I remember what I was doing. I remember calling her sister to check in. I remember hearing her sister say, "Surgery? What surgery?" I remember Marla calling me minutes later, voice trembling, saying her sister was on medication and confused. And I bought it. I bought it. I even sent Marla a video that night. Me on the couch with Linus in my lap, saying we missed her. I remember trying to make her laugh. I remember hoping she'd see how much I adored her, how I wanted her home. While I was sending her that video, she was probably curled up next to Calder, sipping wine and laughing about how easy I was to fool. That kind of shame sticks to your bones. But here's where things truly shifted. Zoe, bless her heart, didn't pity me. She didn't hug me or tell me it was okay. Instead, she said something that surprised me. You want her to know you found this? I didn't answer right away, but the more I thought about it, the more something dark and unfamiliar crept up my spine. Because Marla hadn't just ended a marriage. She'd rewritten it, bent the truth until it snapped. And maybe it was time for her to see that the quiet man she left behind wasn't so easy to erase. I didn't want revenge. I told myself that again and again. Revenge felt too dramatic, too cinematic for someone like me. I wasn't the kind of man who plotted. I didn't scream, didn't smash things, didn't make scenes. But this wasn't about revenge. It was about truth. And making sure that Marla, in her curated, deceitful little world, didn't get to pretend she'd just moved on from a lifeless marriage. She had rewritten our story into something convenient for her conscience, and I was done letting her get away with it. I didn't want confrontation. I wanted clarity. So I printed the itinerary, the cabin rental receipt, and a screenshot of her voice memo transcription. I didn't include everything, just the lines that mattered. The sentence where she admitted she lied to me about where she was. The one where she called me emotionally soft. And then, the final line, I hope he doesn't hate me. I clipped them all together with a small sticky note on top. For words, written in the same handwriting I used to leave her sweet grocery reminders. No need to wonder. I didn't text her. Didn't email. I sent the envelope by priority mail to her new address. The one I wasn't supposed to know. Zoe found it, tucked in an auto-renewal notice from her yoga subscription in the pile of mail Marla had never updated. I addressed it simply, Marla Emerson, urgent. Then I waited, and it didn't take long. 3 days later, my phone buzzed. Not a call, not a voicemail, just a single text from her. All lowercase, like even her pride had shrunk. You saw everything? I didn't reply. An hour passed. Then another message. It wasn't supposed to be like that. Still nothing from me. Then, can we talk? I could practically see her pacing, fingers trembling, trying to undo what couldn't be undone. She wanted to explain, to manipulate the story back into something gentler. But truth doesn't bend backward once it's been seen in full. Later that evening, I got one more message. I'm sorry I hurt you. You didn't deserve that. I really thought you'd never find out. That part made me laugh, bitterly. She thought I'd never find out. She counted on me being too passive, too trusting, too Everett to notice. That was the worst insult of all, not just the betrayal, but the confidence she had that I wouldn't be strong enough to face it. I showed Zoe the texts. She read them without expression and simply asked, "Are you going to respond?" I shook my head. What would I say? You don't have to say anything, she said. She's already unraveling. But she wasn't finished. Because what neither of us knew at that point was that Calder, the man she'd blown up our life for, had received a similar envelope. Not from me, but from someone else entirely. And when I found out who had sent it, and why, that's when everything turned sideways. Because Marla's lies didn't just end our marriage. They were about to ruin everything she thought she had left. I wasn't planning on hearing from Calder. Honestly, I thought he didn't even know I existed beyond what Marla must have told him. Probably that I was some emotionally stagnant husband who barely noticed she was gone. I assumed he lived in that fantasy bubble she built for him, one where she was the misunderstood woman and I was the dull shadow she had to escape. But that illusion didn't last long. It started with a voicemail. Unknown number. No name. Just a voice, sharp, controlled, angry. Everett, I think we need to talk. He didn't introduce himself, but I knew immediately who it was. Only one man would speak to me like that, and only one man had something to lose now that the truth had cracked through the surface. I didn't call him back. I didn't need to. But curiosity doesn't always ask for permission. So I blocked out an hour, poured a drink, and waited. Because people like Calder don't just ask for a conversation. They demand it. And sure enough, the next day, he called again. This time he didn't bother with a voicemail. He just sent a text. You should know she lied to me too. I stared at that message for a long time. Not because it shocked me, but because I realized, for the first time, Marla had built her entire exit plan on two lies. One she told me, and one she told him. And now both of them were collapsing. Turns out, Calder hadn't received the envelope from me. He got his from someone else. Her sister. Yes. The same sister Marla claimed was recovering from surgery. The same one who, when I called during that fake trip, had no idea what I was talking about. Apparently, guilt is contagious. Her sister had started piecing things together after Marla's sudden move and her vague explanations. And when I didn't show up to the family brunch 2 weeks later, the one Marla used to make me go to every year, the sister messaged me directly. I hadn't answered. Too raw. Too tired. So instead, she reached out to Calder. Sent him copies of the same documents I'd found. The voice memos. The trip itinerary. Even the rental agreement for the cabin. I guess she'd made copies of everything before mailing my envelope, just in case. Calder was blindsided. That much was clear. In our third and final exchange, a short call I eventually agreed to, he told me Marla had promised him their relationship started after she left me. That I'd been emotionally abusive, that I had cheated first, that I neglected her. I didn't laugh. I didn't argue. I just said, "Do you believe her now?" He didn't answer. But then came the twist I didn't expect. Calder wasn't angry at me. He was angry at himself. He said something that stuck with me. I thought I was rescuing someone. Turns out, I was just helping her run from the wreckage she caused. I don't know if he left her. He didn't say. He didn't need to. The fact that he reached out at all meant the curtain had been pulled back. And here's the kicker. 2 nights later, Marla texted me again. Not asking to meet. Not asking to talk. Just this. "You turned everyone against me." That was her version of accountability. That I had done something to her. That she was the victim of a coordinated conspiracy, not the architect of her own downfall. I didn't respond. I wouldn't give her that power again. But I knew something now. She hadn't just lost me. She had lost control of the narrative. And when people like Marla lose that, they unravel. Fast. So when she showed up, again, at my front door that weekend, it wasn't with confidence this time. It was desperation. And what she asked me, it was something no one expects from the person who tore your life apart. When I opened the door that final time, I knew something was different. Marla looked like she hadn't slept in days. No makeup, no umbrella, clothes wrinkled like she'd been living out of her car. Her voice cracked before she even got a full sentence out. "Everett," she said, clutching her arms. "Can I come in? Just for a moment. I don't know where else to go." I didn't move. For a long second, I just stood there, the wind rushing between us like a wall. I should have felt powerful. Vindicated. This was the moment in all the stories where the betrayed husband gets the last word, the grand slam, the "look at you now." But I didn't feel any of that. I just felt done. Still, I nodded. Let her step in. Zoe wasn't home, and I wasn't afraid of anything anymore. Marla walked through the house like she was trying to recognize it, but it had changed too much, and so had I. The couch had new pillows. The photos on the wall were gone. Her scarf, the one I once held to my chest like a lifeline, was in a donation box in the garage. She sat on the edge of the chair and stared at the floor. "I messed everything up," she whispered. "I thought Calder was the escape I needed. But it turns out, I was just escaping myself." He left, the day after my sister sent him everything. Her hands trembled. "I was stupid and selfish, and I blamed you because I couldn't face what I was becoming." I didn't respond. I let her talk. She looked up. "Everett, I'm not here to fix anything. I know that's not possible. I wanted to say sorry. Properly. And ask if there's anything I can do to make it right." There it was. A rare moment of real humility. A truth not wrapped in manipulation. I exhaled and sat across from her. "You can't undo the past, Marla. But you can let it go. That's all I wanted. Closure. Not war." She nodded, swallowing hard. Then I stood up and walked her to the door. "I hope you find peace," I said. "But it's not here anymore. I'm building something new now." She looked like she wanted to say more, but instead, she just nodded and stepped out into the cold. No drama. No tears. Just quiet understanding. The door closed behind her, gently this time. And I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Peace. Now, months later, life is steady. Zoe is still around. Kind, grounded, not trying to fix me, just walking beside me. Linus sleeps on the couch again like nothing ever happened. I've repainted the hallway walls. No more blue. Just light, warm earth tones. Something that feels like beginning again. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I'm free. Thanks for listening to my story here on Reddit Confessions. If you've made it this far, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's a surprising or lesser-known moment from history that taught you something about second chances or starting over? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more real stories like this.